Here is another crazy story, and this one still tightens my jaw. This is a story of my wife, her weekend trips, and the man she swore was ancient history. I am 53 years old. I drive a truck for a living, regional runs here in Georgia. I came to it late, got my CDL at 49 after the plant I gave half my life to shut its gates for good. So now I know every mile of road in this part of the state. She never figured my runs would put me on that road. It was 1:48 in the afternoon when I saw her car. It was sitting where it had no business being, a hotel lot off the interstate. I was 140 miles from the city she told me she was visiting that weekend. I had already made my morning drops. My next window was not for a couple of hours, and I had put in enough drive time that I owed myself a 30 before I could roll again. So I pulled into the lot to take my break. I set the brakes and let the truck idle for the air. You see everything from up in the cab. That is how I caught it. Her car. The chipped paint on the hood I kept meaning to touch up. The crooked plate frame she would never let me swap. The honor roll magnet our boy stuck on the back glass last spring. There was a travel mug in the cup holder I had filled for her a week before. Then she walked out the front doors, and she was not alone. The man had his hand on her lower back. That is a way you only touch someone you have touched 1,000 times. I knew him. It was the one she dated before me, the one she always called a closed chapter. It was bullshit. Didn't look like a closed chapter to me. My stomach dropped through the floorboard. I did not get out. I did not honk. I did not do one single thing a younger man would have done. I just sat up there, high above the lot, and watched. They stood by her car for a minute. He leaned in. She let him. Then she laughed at something he said. He had a little duffel slung over one shoulder. She had her overnight bag in her hand. They were not packing up for the road. They were headed back in. I picked up my phone. I held it against the glass and took pictures. I got her car in the frame. I got the front of the hotel. I got the two of them standing close. I zoomed in on his face to be sure. It was him, older and grayer, but him. He opened her car door for her, like he had done it for years. Every shot kept the date and the time right there in the file, but I knew enough to keep it, and I knew enough to keep my mouth shut. She walked back inside with him. I had seen enough. I wrote the date, the time, and the name of that hotel on the back of a fuel receipt. I taped that receipt inside my logbook where it would not get lost. Then my alarm went off. My 30 was up, and I had a delivery to make. So I put the truck in gear. I rolled up the road to the receiver. I backed it into door 19, like nothing in the world had changed. The lumpers unloaded me. I signed my bills. I drove the rest of my run. I called no one. I did not pull over to fall apart. I finished my run first. I made 2 more drops with that picture burning a hole in my phone. You still have a 14-hour clock. On my run, that clock did not stop once it started. I made it home that weekend like always. She was back before me. Her suitcase sat by the door. She asked about my week. I told her it was long. Then I asked about her girls' weekend. She said it was nice. She said the girls said hello. I had already decided I was not going to scream. I was going to do this the quiet way. My boy noticed before I thought he would. He is 10. He asked me why Mom was gone so much lately. I told him she was busy with work. That was the only lie I told in this whole thing. And I told it to a 10-year-old to keep him out of the mud. He shrugged and asked if we could get ice cream. So we got ice cream. The next morning, I started counting weekends. On paper, in the little notebook where I keep my mileage, I listed her trips and her conferences. I listed the nights she stayed up texting with the screen tipped away from me. When I lined it all up, it went back 28 months. Then I found it. A gas charge on our joint card from 8 months back. It was from a town she had no reason to be near. She had sworn that week was nothing but work and school runs. I had waved it through without a second look. Now it was a line with a date and a place on it. I went back 6 more months in the statements that night. I found 2 more charges, both from places she could not have explained. That charge hurt worse than the hotel lot did. This was no one-time slip. She had been running a second marriage on the side, and I was paying half the bills for it. So that week, out on my run, I made a call. I found a divorce attorney through my internet search. That afternoon, I called the number. She had me come in on my next home day. She charged for the consult. It was $275 for the hour, and she was worth every dime. She had been doing divorce work for 20 years. She had a yellow pad full of questions before I sat down. I paid her retainer, which was $2,500, which wasn't much by today's standard. That was money I had been saving for a new transmission. The transmission could wait. She got to the point right away. Why was I in her office? I told her I wanted out. I wanted my boy safe, and I wanted her to not get rich off 28 months of lying. I signed her engagement letter that same hour. On my next home day, I brought her 3 years of bank and card statements. She had someone in her office pull that gas charge onto a map. It sat a good 40 minutes past any road I run. Her first instruction was simple. Do not let her sense one thing has changed before I file. She should think the marriage is exactly where she left it. Document everything first and let her keep feeling safe. The second a cheater knows you are onto them, they get smart. The phone gets hidden and the money starts sliding around. The story gets straight before you can blink. So I showed her my fuel receipt and my pictures. She looked at them for a while. She said they were taken in a public lot, so they were fine to keep. But she said a parking lot photo is just a start. In Georgia, she told me, you do not need anything dirty on camera. You showed that 2 people wanted each other, and you showed they had private time together. That is what the court looks at. She said for that, we wanted a professional. She gave me the number of a private investigator she trusted. Now, a private investigator is not a guy who hacks phones. He cannot pull her texts or her call records, and I did not ask him to. What he can do is sit discreetly a lot longer than I can. He writes down exactly what he sees. He watched her for 11 days. That covered 3 of her late nights. The investigator put a name and an address to him 1 county over. Single, the report said, and divorced once already. On the second night, she left work 2 hours early. She drove straight to him and did not come home until morning. Twice they ate at a diner first. The same booth, the report said. There was a gray pickup with a ladder rack and a county sticker. It was the same truck every single time. The same chain off the same interstate twice. They checked in under his name, never hers. She always went in through a side door, never the front. The report ran to 9 pages with a photo on almost every one. He handed my attorney a clean report. Times, dates, and photos. 11 days, 3 nights, and 1 story that did not hold up. The 11 days of watching cost me an additional $5,000. So far as my lawyer could tell, he kept it to public places and never crossed a line. I wanted a report my lawyer could hold up without flinching. While he watched, I did my part, which was nothing. I ran my runs. I came home on the weekends, and I let her keep thinking she was getting away with it. At home, I kept it to the boy and the bills, nothing more. I filled the truck, ran my loads, and counted the days. 41 days passed from the photo to the morning she got served. That last weekend before it all landed, I changed the oil in her car in the driveway. She brought me a glass of tea and said, "Thank you." I said, "You bet," and kept my eyes on the engine. The whole time, there was a folder with her name on it in a lawyer's drawer. I figured one angry word from me would just end up as evidence against me later. So I gave her nothing to use. First, she told me to leave the joint account alone. I wanted to drain it. She said, do not touch a dime of it. She said the money we both earned during the marriage is marital money. It does not matter whose name is on the account. If I emptied it, a judge could make me put it back, and I would look like the bad guy for doing it. So instead, she had me open a new account in just my name. I called payroll and moved my direct deposit that week. The first paycheck landed there 3 days later. Every deposit was on the record. Nothing was hidden, and my lawyer knew to expect it. The joint account I left alone. Each pay period, I moved enough back into it for the regular bills. Same mortgage, same power, same things for the boy, paid on time like always. This was not about hiding money. That money is still marital until a judge says otherwise. It was about keeping every statement and stub where my lawyer could show them. She said, once papers were filed, the court's own rules made it costly to start moving money around. When she filed, the county would put out a standing order, a piece of paper that hands both sides the rules in writing. Do not hide assets. Do not harass each other. Do not yank the kid out of school. For once, a rule that cut both ways. She said in Georgia, adultery can literally stop a spouse from getting alimony. She said it is not automatic. Any lawyer who promises you it is automatic is lying. She said I would have to prove the affair is what actually broke up the marriage. If I could show that, the law says she could lose her claim to alimony. 28 months and a private investigator's report go a long way toward that. So the leverage was real, not a guarantee, but real. That gave my lawyer something solid for the folder. She warned me their side would get to question me under oath too. I spent a weekend on the road, going over every date in my notebook. She also told me this would not make me rich. It was about her not getting one for the lie. She walked me through the filing itself, so the steps would not blindside me. She files the petition with the clerk in the county where my wife lives. That is our county, where we live in the same house. The clerk stamps it and issues a summons. Then a process server takes the papers. A real person hands them to my wife, face to face. A neutral person, she said, so there is a clean record she got them. She said I do not get to lock my wife out of that house. Not for a second, not even with the deadbolt right there in my hand. She said it is her home too, until a judge says different. If I changed the locks, the police could get called and a judge would remember it. So I crossed that idea off the list. We picked the timing together because, of course, she had another girls' weekend coming up. A real one this time, she said. Just the girls, a little place at the lake. This time I just said, that sounds nice, honey. You should go. The filing date was already set with my lawyer. While she was gone, my attorney filed. She walked it into the county courthouse the morning my wife left for the lake. The clerk stamped it and gave the case a number. The filing fee ran me $220. The clerk issued the summons. The standing order printed out with both our names on it, and a process server got an address, a photo, and the evening she was due home. I took my boy to his game. I let him beat me at putt-putt with the little plastic clubs. I packed one bag, my clothes, his overnight things, and his school stuff. I did not take a stick of furniture. I did not take a dish. Her things, her closet, her side of the bed, all of it stayed. This was a divorce, not a robbery. I took what the two of us needed for a few nights. I left everything else right where it sat. She got home a little after 6:09 that evening. I watched her pull in from my sister's car across the street. I was not going to do this from behind the door like a coward. A man got out of a plain sedan parked down the block. He met her before she even got the trunk open. He said her full name, first and last. He asked if that was her, and he put a thick envelope in her hands, a summons, a petition for divorce, a standing order with both our names on it. He told her she had 30 days to answer. 30 days to answer for a marriage she thought was still hers to lie to. Then he wished her a good evening and walked back to his sedan. He drove off, and later he filed the paper that proved she had been served. She pulled out her phone and called somebody. She dropped her keys on the driveway and did not pick them up. She read it twice, like the words might change. She looked at the house. She looked at her phone. Then she looked across the street, and she saw me sitting in my sister's car with my boy's backpack on my lap. She did not get the suitcase out. She just stood there in the driveway, holding the papers. I just looked at her. She finally went inside and turned on every light in the house. Then I drove my son to my sister's. I had already made up the spare room. My boy thought it was an adventure. 2 nights at his aunt's, pancakes in the morning. I let him keep thinking that for as long as I could. That is where we stayed while the case got rolling. I did not move back in, and I did not throw her out. My attorney filed for a temporary order about our boy. That way, a judge sets his schedule, instead of the 2 of us fighting over him in a driveway. We kept his school the same. We kept his bedtime the same. I texted her every plan about our boy in writing. My attorney said, keep it clean and keep it on the record. The affair did not stay a secret long after that. She told me later, the ex stopped answering once there were papers and a lawyer in the picture. That tells you exactly how deep that great love really ran. She had called him her soulmate once, she admitted, on a trip she billed to us. A soulmate sticks around past the first sign of a lawyer. Hers did not, and the second it cost him something, he was finished. She is fighting for alimony, of course. That is what the report and the 28 months are for. My attorney says we are in a strong spot. 3 weeks after she was served, we stood in front of a judge for the first time. My lawyer called it a temporary hearing, just the rules for while the case runs. She showed up with her lawyer and would not look at me. The judge kept the standing order in force for both of us. He set a parenting schedule for our boy, the one we split his time on now. He left the bills where they were and reserved the rest for trial. The alimony question, the judge said, would wait for the evidence. He still does not know the whole of it, and he will not get it from me. The house gets sorted when the rest of it does. Our mediation date is set for next month. She has tried calling me twice since, and I sent both straight to my lawyer. My boy sees a counselor once a week now. The investigator's report is marked as an exhibit in the file, and her lawyer has stopped putting the word alimony in writing. So that is where it sits, with the file still open on my lawyer's desk. As it stands right now, she will not get any alimony, and we will have to split the equity in the house. My soon-to-be ex-wife has made numerous attempts to contact me. I never respond unless it's about our boy. And yes, I got a DNA test done. He is mine. But she is still living in the house, but not for long. I don't care about the house right now. I will still get my share at some point. This has been hell for me mentally. I may come back with an update, or I might not. Men, if you ever stand where I stood, do not honk and do not scream. Well, in my opinion, I will always say a cool, calm head in a situation like this will keep you out of trouble. A lot of people lose their lives in situations like this, but there is no law in the US that allows you to use violence against your spouse if they cheat. They are not worth it. Remember that. See you in the next one.